Thank you very much for sharing the session of Dr. Plotzker's Mind. It's been a unique week. It's been a challenging week. It's been a week that shuffles my priorities. It is a week when my wife and I each encountered an illness for which there is a significant mortality. We traveled, and on arrival home, the last couple of days of my wife's vacation did not bring the refreshment that one hopes to have following vacation. Within a couple of days, function deteriorated. She asked me for a COVID test. The night before, she did not come upstairs. Even without knowing the diagnosis, I was concerned about her. Her COVID test came up positive, and she looked visibly ill. Mine came up negative, which reassured me as the caregiver. We went to the hospital as the primary doctor had not been able to return our call by normal closing time. In the emergency room, my wife collapsed on the floor with a very rapid heart rate. COVID, which is now out of the news, as there is treatment for it, remains a potentially lethal disorder. I don't know how many people have died of COVID in 2024. I suspect I can look it up. It is not the pandemic, but it is definitely a reason to be concerned and sometimes to need very, very aggressive medical care for survival, as my wife did. We have a very, very long marriage that most people would envy. The last thing I would like to have happen is to have it end unexpectedly that way. The cardiology experts and the hospital experts came through. Modern medical systems are able to organize this well. The heart danger resolved simply with aggressive medication overnight, and the completion of the course of COVID treatment went at home. However, it's also a communicable disease. And while I tested negative, I did not feel negative. I felt quite ill, though not desperately ill. After a second negative test, I called the doctor, or the doctor on call. She got back to me quickly, was very gracious. I asked for a molecular test, which was not readily available on a holiday weekend, but did another antigen test, which confirmed that I had also acquired COVID. I asked her the natural history of COVID since I was untreated, and as expected, she told me it varies a lot, with lethal at one end and minimal symptoms at the other. I did not feel in danger, but I also did not feel functional. I picked up my prescription for Paxlovid, began it at a convenient time, and after 2 doses and about 24 hours of medication, I can tell the difference. I no longer feel in danger. But again, it is not just the illness, but the fear of being separated from the other person in one's life, my wife from me, and presumably me from her. We've not had to deal with life-threatening illnesses before. However, over many decades as a medical practitioner, I have guided my share of people through their premature final days. This episode caught my attention. At the moment, it looks like we will both recover. My wife requiring high levels of skill, me so far requiring just attentiveness to a prescription, but the lethal nature or the lethal potential of the underlying disorder not only changed the way I look at illnesses, but the way I look at lifetime relationships. Thank you so much for sharing this episode of Dr. Plotzker's Mind.